Welcome to Vacuum Wars, and to our review of the Qrevo MaxV robot vacuum. Roborock has released an all-new lineup of robot vacuums very recently, and the Qrevo MaxV is their mid-level option. It has most of the premium features as the top-of-the-line models like the S8, but at a cheaper price. I bought one and put it through all kinds of tests over the past few weeks, and in this video, I'll go over the pros and cons as I see it, and talk about some of the similarities and differences with it and the previous Qrevo model. So, links in the description, and let's get started. First, the basics. The Qrevo MaxV is a robot vacuum mop combo with a full auto bin system that can wash and dry its mop pads and more. It also has obstacle avoidance sensors in the front that help it to avoid common household objects, which is only available on more advanced robot vacuums like this one. The Revo in its name stands for revolution, which is a reference to its spinning mop pad system, which is unique to the Qrevo models in the Roborock lineup. Roborock at this time seems to be selling the older version, simply called the Qrevo Pro instead of the Qrevo MaxV, so be mindful of that when shopping, as you could accidentally buy the older model if you wanted the newer one, and vice versa. Starting off with the pros, it was excellent with its sweeping ability on hard floors and carpets. The Qrevo has a single floating main brush and a single side brush, which work really well together to sweep up debris. In our tests, it was nearly flawless, with everything from fine to extra large debris on both hard floors and carpets, including things like pet and human hair. Roborock says that the Qrevo MaxV has 7,000 pascals of suction compared to 5,500 pascals on the previous Qrevo version, and in our suction tests we found that the new version did indeed have more suction power than the previous version. It was also a little above average with things like the crevice pickup test. Another big pro is its mopping ability. As mentioned before, it uses two spinning mop pads to mop instead of the vibrating pads like on the S8 series. Both mopping methods seem very similar to me in terms of mopping ability. In our tests, the Qrevo MaxV mopped up the dried-on coffee and dried-on grape juice stains effortlessly, and it even managed minor wet stains without much streaking at all, so it was as good or better than any mopping system I've seen. It also has a lot of useful mop-related features, such as the new Flexi arm, where when it does edge and corner cleaning, it automatically extends one of its mop pads to better cover right to the edge of walls. Roborock says that this improves edge coverage up to 99%, and it did good with this in our tests as well. Its mop pads also lift up automatically when it senses carpets in order to keep carpets dry. This feature unlocks the ability to have it vacuum and mop homes that have a mix of hard floors and carpets in the same run, vastly improving efficiency. The new Qrevo's pads lift up 10 millimeters, where the old Qrevo only lifted its pads up 7 millimeters. It also has a relatively new mopping feature called Clean Along Floor Direction, where you can tell it which way your flooring is oriented, and it will make sure to mop with the grain of your floors, which leaves less streaks. Its new charging dock is a big pro with lots of upgrades from the previous Qrevo dock. It still automatically empties the dustbin into the included disposable bag and automatically cleans its mop pads, dries its mop pads, and refills the mop tank, but it now washes the pads with hot water, and it has a dirt sensor in the dock that can detect if the water from the pads is still dirty, in which case it initiates additional cleaning of its pads. It also has a removable tray for easy cleaning, which is something that you will miss if you don't have it. The V in the name stands for vision, and the new Qrevo has a camera integrated into the obstacle avoidance system instead of just using structured light like on the old Qrevo. This enables new features. For example, it can now visually recognize if there is a particularly dirty stain on the floor, and if so, it will mop that area more if you have it enabled in the app. The camera also enables the ability to do real-time video calls with two-way voice communication with pets. One big pro is the app. I think Roborock has the best app in the industry right now, with lots of useful features, including virtual barriers, multi-level mapping, advanced scheduling features, lots of adjustability of power settings, mop settings, auto-empty bin settings, mop washing and drying settings. It also has Roborock's brand new voice assistant. The Qrevo MaxV has the same official battery life as pretty much all premium Roborocks at 180 minutes on low power, which is above average, and in our navigation tests, its battery efficiency was also better than average. Moving on to the cons. The Qrevo's main navigation sensor is its top-mounted Lidar sensor, which does a good job of mapping the floor plan quickly and navigating in efficient rows with great coverage and no missed spots. But in our navigation tests, we also found that it was a little slower than average. In fact, it took it about 60 minutes to vacuum and mop my 330 square foot floor plan, where it took the previous Qrevo only 36 minutes to do this, and the previous S8 about 38 minutes. I double-checked all the settings, so I'm not really sure what changed to make it slower. Another con was its obstacle avoidance system. It got the exact same score as the previous Qrevo, which is disappointing considering that they were both the lowest scores I've seen on this test. I think it's the lack of lasers in the front-mounted system that makes the Qrevos so much worse than the higher-end Roborocks like the S8s, but I was hoping that the addition of the camera on the MaxV version would improve this, but it did not. It's still better than the vast majority of robot vacuums that do not have obstacle avoidance systems, but still. So to recap, the Qrevo MaxV is amazing at its main job of sweeping up debris on hard floors and carpets, and with its mopping performance. Its auto-empty bin system is incredibly useful, and when combined with its app, it's one of the best automated floor care systems on the market. But it's slower than expected, and its obstacle avoidance system isn't that great. Its upgrades from the previous Qrevo are significant, and it does seem to be a good buy depending on the price that Roborock sells it at, but it's probably not worth upgrading if you already have the old Qrevo, in my opinion. Links in the description, and be sure to tune in next week for our review of the Roborock S8 Pro Ultra and S8 MaxV Ultra. All of the links in our description section are updated regularly to reflect our current favorite vacuums in multiple categories. If you don't know where to start, check out our latest Vacuum Buyer's Guide video linked here. You'll also find links to the vacuumwars.com website in the description, where we post all the latest vacuum news, as well as much more detailed top 5 lists in multiple categories.